Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the L.A.M.E Book Club podcast. My name is Melissa.
I'm Ellie.
And we are very, very excited to jump into our Fourth Wing Iron Flame recap today. But before we do, we have a review of the week, and I'm excited to read it. So thank you for everyone who's left us a review. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, leave one if you have an Apple Podcast. iOS. Apple Podcast is the only place where you can leave written reviews. And this one today is from ETLT992. It's titled Best Podcast Ever, and I Don't Listen to Podcasts. 5 stars. So thank you. It says, so I've never been a podcast girly. I always get bored or distracted, but I'm so invested in this podcast thanks to Melissa and Ellie. I feel like they're my friends. I love their relationship, their point of views. They're really funny and eloquent, and I'm so invested. Thank you for creating a space for us romantic girlies to connect and learn and yap about books we love. And is that also not just the point?
That's so sweet. But I don't think I've ever been complimented as being eloquent.
Neither have I.
I feel like I have too many likes and ums in my sentence to be like, that girl, she is eloquent. But I really appreciate the compliment.
For me, I'm just too rough around the edges. I yell too much. And I'm too like, but you know, I'll take it. Someone said it. I accept the compliment. Thank you.
I'll take that one. Yeah. Guys, if you're having fun over here, imagine how much more fun you could be having with bonus content, early releases, extra bits over at our Patreon. We're going through Parval. We're in the second book, Legendary, and we're having a blast. So if that interests you, if you want more, go check it out. And if you are part of Patreon, you would get a discount code for our merch. But if you're not, you can still get merch. It's on our website. We have 2 items, a sticker and a tote, perfect for as we are. And I was going to say as the months warm up, but we're literally in January.
We're in the thick of winter.
As the chilly wind blows, imagine you being warmed up by carrying one of our totes. That's a thing.
You know what? You know what would make getting, because as we all know, Onyx Storm is coming out tomorrow at the time of this release. And the only thing that would make getting Onyx Storm better is having something to tote it around in.
There you go. That's the one.
Yep. You get to tote around your Onyx Storm book in a L.A.M.E Book Club pod tote. That was almost a tongue twister.
Yeah.
L.A.M.E Book Club pod tote. No, it's not. It's just the way I said it. Never mind. But, Ellie, where are we going to be on August 15th through 17th, 2025?
Enchanticon in St. Louis.
That's right. And you guys, if you've listened to our podcast for like any length of time, we've talked about this, but you know just how much we both hate airplanes. And I am getting on an airplane to do this. So be there or be square. I want to meet you. And this is the only time in the foreseeable future that I will be getting on an airplane. So if you're close to St. Louis,
this is a big deal. So, I don't know if you all know that.
I'm not a big deal. I personally am not a big deal. But the fact that I'm getting on an airplane is a big deal. And so I'd love to meet you all. And if you're closer to St. Louis, this might be your only chance. Again, not that I'm cool, but only chance for me to meet you. So please come.
I love that.
We have a discount code, L.A.M.E15. We'll get you 15% off your ticket orders. And we're excited to see everyone.
Yes. Okay, here we go. This is our Empyrean recap episode for every procrastinator out there.
Yes.
Onyx Storm releases tomorrow, January 21st, and we want to make sure that you are the most prepared to dive in head first. So fair warning, this is probably going to be a little bit of a longer episode just so we can squeeze everything in. We've got book summaries, characters, signets, dragons, and theories. And there will be spoilers for both Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. So without further ado, let's hop in.
Woohoo! All right, Fourth Wing follows Violet Sorringale, the daughter of the powerful General Lilith Sorringale, who is forced to attend the dangerous Basgiath War College, where students are trained to ride dragons. Violet has always dreamed of becoming a scribe due to her weak health and dislike of violence, but must quickly adjust to survive in a place designed to break weaker students. Her mother insists that Violet prove herself in this brutal environment. Violet's older sister Mira warns her about a cadet named Xaden Ryerson. Xaden is the son of a rebel leader that Violet's mother executed years ago. He and others like him, called the Marked Ones, are outcasts carrying magical tattoos that brand them as traitors. Violet's brother Brennan died in the same rebellion, making the tension between them and Xaden even worse.
The process of joining the college starts with a deadly test where students must cross a dangerous parapet. At the top of the tower, 3 cadets prepare themselves to cross. Prepare the other students to cross. One of them is Xaden Ryerson, whom Violet is immediately attracted to, and I think we all are.
Aren't we all?
They face off with Xaden, reminding Violet that her mother executed his father, while Violet retorts that his father was responsible for her brother's death. Their confrontation is abruptly interrupted when an initiate screams as he falls from the parapet to his death. Violet barely survives after witnessing a cadet named Jack Barlow murder another student by pushing them off. Prior to her crossing the parapet, though, Violet helps a classmate, Rhiannon, survive by offering her one of her boots, as Rhiannon was lacking the right size boots and would surely plummet to her death. The two become friends.
And before we move on, we just need to recap how terrifying that parapet crossing would be, just in general, but let alone to have Jack Barlow on your heels the whole time. A stranger. I don't know what I would do if a stranger that literally I had maybe shared 2 sentences with tried to kill me. Like, literally, it's not even
I
like,
don't know why
like,
I'm picturing it, but just like you just like like screaming, running across, and I'm dying laughing.
I really think I'd be like, who are you? What is what are you doing? Like, what is wrong with you? And if that's not what we were all thinking, honestly, I don't think I'll ever get over that. Truly, the shock factor of having someone be that aggressive and violent for no reason. But
it's unhinged.
Good news, Violet reaches the other side, and when she does, she reconnects with Dain, a former childhood friend and son of her mother's advisor. There is an incredibly obvious tension between the two, in the lovey-dovey kind of way, if you get what I mean. He is hell-bent on getting Violet out of the Rider's Quadrant because he emphasizes that he knows her weaknesses and wants to keep her safe. But she is hell-bent on staying because her mother, the general, really gave her no choice. Violet and Rhiannon are assigned to Dain's squad, one of the 4 squads in the Rider's Quadrant. It's then that Violet meets Xaden Ryerson again. And after a tense moment, Xaden reveals that Dain's squad will join the 4th wing, where he is none other than the wing leader. Violet is scared because this means that she will have to answer to him.
Within the semester, students learn more about the long-standing conflict between Navarre, her homeland, and the neighboring kingdom of Paromial. While Navarre's army rides dragons, Paromial's army uses griffins, and their raids have been causing trouble for Navarrian towns.
You know, we are going to have a lot of probably different pronunciations of words. I've always said it as Paromial. It's really not that different, but I just wanted to throw that out there because if it comes up again, I will be saying Paromial.
Okay.
Violet stands out from most of the other cadets. She's much smaller and physically weaker than her peers, which causes her to suffer more severe injuries and puts her at a disadvantage. To survive, she decides to help prepare and serve breakfast, secretly poisoning her opponents, which allows her to win 5 challenges leading up to the threshing. Rider training at the college consists of 3 major trials: the Gauntlet, Threshing, and the Warfare course.
The Gauntlet is a deadly obstacle course where many cadets die. And honestly, it's basically American Ninja Warrior. It
really is.
It literally
is.
Oh
my gosh. I don't know why I never connected the dots until just now, but you are so right.
Even the thing like that she's running up and like, oh, I can't. That's the wall at American Ninja. I saw it perfectly.
Well, and not even just is that the wall. That is also the last obstacle. Just like how it was in the Gauntlet.
The show. Yeah. So Xaden sees Violet struggle with a specific obstacle and tells her to use her mind and strategic thinking rather than relying solely on physical strength to overcome obstacles. Violet just barely survives and moves on to the Threshing, a trial where cadets must attempt to bond with a dragon.
You said that barely, kind of the same way you sing the hot guys with the popular eyes. Oh, man. During Threshing, if a dragon has already chosen a cadet to bond with during the presentation, it will call out to that cadet. Cadets are told to be mindful of their emotions so they don't miss this call and to trust their instincts if they feel drawn to go in a different direction to avoid a dragon. They are also instructed to go alone, as traveling in groups increases the risk of being incinerated. During the Threshing, Violet overhears 3 cadets planning to kill a smaller dragon, so she rushes to protect it. She manages to subdue one, Jack Barlow, forcing him to flee, and then takes on the other two. She knocks Orin out cold, while Tarin kills the third cadet, Tynan, when he tries to run.
In the middle of the chaos of threshing, Violet forms bonds with two dragons, Tarin, who is Tarin, and Andarna, the young dragon she was defending. Dain meets Violet to congratulate her on surviving, and to her surprise, he kisses her. However, she does not respond to the kiss. In fact, she realizes she feels no spark, otherwise known as the ick, causing her to lose interest in him. But back to the double-bonded dragon thing, human leadership was pissy, but dragon leadership, the Empyrean, says, it's our call, not yours. That seals the deal for Violet. This rare double bond makes Violet a target for others. It also ties her fate to Xaden, as Tarin and Xaden's dragon, Sigale, are mated.
A rider's life is tied to their dragon's life, so Xaden must keep Violet safe to protect Sigale as well. Violet is torn between her hatred of Xaden and her growing attraction to him, complicated by the physical bond between their dragons. In class, Violet and other riders begin learning how to ride their dragons. Violet has a hard time, but Tarin does everything he can to assist her, which is not common. Dragons don't bend to humans, but Tarin is doing what he can to make things easier for Violet. Imogen, aka a marked cadet, who once disliked Violet, now helps her train as Xaden insists. Violet visits the archives to ask her scribe friend, Justinia, about a book of fables that she wasn't able to bring with her on conscription day. Justinia is puzzled, explaining that she's never heard of the book and there's no record of it ever existing.
In the courtyard, a rider begins to panic when he realizes he can hear everyone's thoughts. I really love this part. A professor, well, I don't love the next part, but a professor quickly intervenes and snaps his neck. It's revealed that Jeremiah was an intrinsic, someone with a forbidden signet power in Navarre, meaning they can read minds.
I love this part. And then his neck was broken.
I know.
Well, wait.
I'm actually not that savage. Hold on.
At night, Tarin urges Violet to wake up. A group of cadets who are unbonded try to kill Violet to take Tarin for themselves. Violet fights back, but she's greatly outnumbered. In that moment, Andarna speaks to her mind, allowing Violet to stop time. As Orin is about to slit her throat, she moves just in time. Xaden rushes in and kills all but one attacker as the one managed to get away. Xaden and Violet go to visit their dragons and learn more about Andarna's unusual power. They find out that Tarin and Sigale had been keeping something very important from them. Andarna is a feathertail, which is a type of young dragon. Feathertails aren't usually allowed to bond with humans because they can accidentally pass their powers on to them. And that's how Violet was able to stop time. Andarna unintentionally gave her that ability.
The one attacker that got away was found and executed by the dragons, which caused an issue between Dain and Violet because Dain did not believe that this person committed such a crime. He asked Violet to, quote-unquote, see the truth by touching her face. Dain has a rare signet, the ability to read recent memories, but he can only use it when he's in physical contact with someone's face. Violet recoils, horrified by his lack of trust and unwilling to let him invade her mind like that.
Xaden orders L.A.M.E, one of the marked ones, to protect Violet. L.A.M.E now goes everywhere with Violet, and they become fast friends. She learns from him that all the children of the rebels were automatically put in the Riders Quadrant and that there are 107 marked ones. While at the archives, they find a scroll about a recent attack. Normally, attacks are covered in battle briefs, but this one wasn't. It makes Violet and L.A.M.E wonder what else is being left out.
One night, Tarin and Sigale share an intimate moment which directly passed some hot feelings down the bond, and that causes Xaden and Violet to kiss. Xaden stops before things go too far. Later, Violet and Rhiannon catch up, and Rhiannon reveals that her signet lets her summon objects. Violet, on the other hand, is discouraged because, though she can channel now, she still does not have a signet power of her own.
During a sparring session, Jack Barlow challenges Violet and almost kills her. And it's important to note here that in this scene, it's specifically mentioned that his eyes have a ring of red around them. But the way it's written, it almost felt like, okay.
He's just crazy.
Yeah.
That's just what people have.
Truly. And as he's about to land his finishing blow, she shoves a vial of oranges into his face. Jack, who is allergic to oranges, immediately starts having a severe reaction.
I saw someone who was recounting this scene be like, didn't she like shove some orange juice like up his nose? And I was like, basically, yeah.
What a way to describe it. I also love, like, he is icky and mean, and like there's so much about this stupid boy. that the thing that his kryptonite
is oranges.
Citrus. Like, what a
unwrapped cutie.
What a dumb thing to be so like severely allergic to. I loved it though. Like I love that it was something so simple as in orange.
Everyone big bad needs something like teeny tiny to be like, I simply can't. Annoyed by Violet's constant near-death moments, Xaden steps in to personally train her. As they work together, the tension between them grows, and the connection between them becomes hard to ignore.
Violet begins to learn how to fly on Tarin, and after winning a battle, her squad gets a chance to visit a Navarian outpost, Montserrat, where Violet's sister Mira is stationed. While there, Mira gives Violet her Fables book. Xaden shows up unexpectedly because Tarin and Sigale can't be apart for too long. Surprise, surprise. Xaden says a snarky little remark to Violet in her mind. We find out that they can now chat mind to mind due to the bonds that are in place, i.e., Xaden being bonded to Sigale, who was mated to Tarin, who was bonded to Violet. You know, the simple connection.
The simple math.
However, things get serious when we learn that Montserrat is being attacked by griffins. Xaden and Tarin tag team to get Violet out of Montserrat ASAP as possible. Violet worries about her sister's safety. When they return to Basgiath, she urgently asks for any news about Mira. She is relieved to learn that Mira is safe and unharmed.
Violet is still trying to unlock her magical ability, or signet, which riders get from bonding with their dragons. Her power doesn't fully emerge until the War Games, a final competition before graduation. During a game of Capture the Flag, Jack Barlow hones in on killing her. Violet tries to save her friend L.A.M.E, and her anger triggers her power. She uses it to summon lightning, which brings down a tower and kills Jack Barlow.
We're all relieved that Homicidal Jack, what a good nickname. Homicidal Jack is, I'm gonna honestly, like, moving forward, I will not be calling him Jack Barlow. I will not be calling him Jack, won't be calling him anything. I will be only referring to him as Homicidal Jack. Oh man. All right. Well, Homicidal Jack is gone, but Violet is struggling with the fact that she killed someone. Xaden walks into her room and Violet kisses him. They have a brief conversation. He doesn't want to complicate things or hurt her, but Violet reassures him that she's capable of handling herself. They seal the deal, do the deed, and afterwards, Xaden opens up about the 107 scars on his back, explaining that they all represent his responsibility for the children of the rebels.
Violet and Xaden struggle to figure out where they stand now. A classic, what are we?
Exactly.
Violet is ready to admit that she wants him, but Xaden isn't quite there yet. Basgiath holds a celebration to mark the anniversary of the rebellion's defeat. It's a painful day for the marked ones, especially Xaden. That's so rough.
You're forced to come and celebrate the day where we killed your father and all of the parents of all of these people. Huzzah! Yeah. Here is some spiked lemonade.
It's so rough. Violet finds him on the parapet and tells him that she understands his pain and is sorry. Their bond grows stronger, both emotionally and romantically.
Later, they do it again, and Violet confesses her love for him. They plan to spend the rest of the night together, but before they can, Garrick, aka Cockblock, bursts in with news that Basgiath is under attack. Plot twist, it is just for the final War Games.
Xaden's squad is sent to Athvine, a dangerous fort outside Navarre's magical protection. He brings Violet with him due to the dragon bond, even though Violet was supposed to go with Dain's squad. Once they arrive, a shocking truth is revealed. Xaden has secretly been helping the Griffin Riders from Paromial. The Griffin Riders have been attacking Navarian outposts, but it turns out that they are fighting to defend themselves from an even greater threat, the Venin. Dangerous wyvern-like creatures are attacking Paromial. Violet, who thought Venin were just legends, learns that they are real. She also discovers that Navarre's government has been using the Griffin Riders as a way to control the people and maintain power. This revelation makes Violet question everything she thought she knew about her family's role in the war.
Suddenly, things turn deadly. Xaden and Violet uncover that Dain has been spying on Violet, using his ability to read her memories and learn Xaden's plans. This does not bode well for the group, as they realize that this wargame was none other than a trap. Dain's father, Colonel Atos, has sent them to a dangerous location beyond the safety of the borders, where Venin then show up and attack Xaden and his squad of marked ones to put an end to their supposed schemes.
Violet and her group fight the Venin, but are nearly overwhelmed. A wyvern attacks Liam's dragon, Day. Violet and Tarin try to help, but Day succumbs to his wounds. Dragons
I
can
know.
survive without their riders, but riders can't survive without their dragons. Liam dies, leaving everyone, including us, heartbroken.
This scene wrecked me. Wrecked me. Because we loved Liam so much.
Mm-hmm.
And this was it because of the fact that he was perfectly healthy, yet died because his dragon died. Ugh, that was the worst.
Gut punch.
Violet and Xaden keep fighting the Venom. Violet realizes that she can take down multiple wyvern at once if she kills the Venom that created them. She uses her lightning to kill several, but in her final battle, she faces a Venom in hand-to-hand combat, armed with a special dagger meant for killing Venom. She defeats the Venom, but not before being stabbed with a poison dagger. Succumbing to her wound, Violet passes out.
When she wakes up, she's shocked to find herself in Orisha, the rebel stronghold she thought was destroyed. There, she finds Xaden, and to her surprise, her brother Brennan, who is alive and fighting with the revolutionaries against Navarre's corruption. Violet now has to decide where her true loyalties lie as the story ends.
Honestly, so this is the end of Fourth Wing. That was the book one. I don't remember where I was at. I want to say it truly was only like 8 pages before it actually happened, but I knew it. No, it was before that, because in the beginning they do say that Brennan was dead. They're like, he died in this war, and it wasn't like we never found his body. It was like, Brennan died. Like, it was straight up said that. So I accepted that as truth because that's what Rebecca gave us. But then in like the middle-ish of the book, they made a comment about how he was assumed dead because his body was never found. And as soon as that comment was
really
made,
sends us.
I was like, oh, she's pulling a SJM, no body, no death. And so from that point on, I was like, I don't know, probably not dead. And then like 8 pages before this happened, I was like, I'll bet her brother is there. And then it was like, Brennan? And I was like, I knew it. So that was my claim to fame. I was pretty proud of myself for that one. I'm not going to lie.
I love that. Yeah, this I have a classic case of I figure it out as it's happening. So I'll literally text Melissa like, I bet you Brennan's alive, and the next sentence will be like, Brennan's alive, because they were alluding to the fact that he was alive, not because I was figuring anything out. It was just revealing itself, and I'll be like, I'm so smart, and then it's just not that way.
Look at me, I've got this in the bag. Little do you know, the bag is right there.
The bag is opened in front of my eyes. Yeah. Ooh. Okay, guys. Iron Flame. Are we ready?
Oh, yeah. Let's do it. All right.
Okay.
We pan in with Violet trying to understand how her brother, Brennan, is alive. He is now a lieutenant colonel with a new name, so no one finds out that he's been hiding or who he truly is.
Classic. Brennan and Xaden meet with leaders of the revolution. Violet overhears them talking about a vote, a broken forge, and the need for a luminary. They mention a man named Viscount Takaris who has a luminary, but Xaden insulted him last year, so it probably won't help.
Later, Brennan and Violet sit down to talk. Brennan explains that Tarin's old rider, Naelin, healed him before Naelin died, and that Marb, who is Brennan's dragon, and the other dragons there, hid him in the caves under Orisha. He also gives some of the realistic details of the revolution. The Venom will likely take 6 months as opposed to a year to take them down entirely. They have a ward stone, but it's broken, and they don't have a luminary who can make weapons to fight the Venom. Violet wonders if the wardstone in Orisha can be restored, but knows she won't get any answers without going back to the scribes at Besgaiath. Brennan can't disclose any sensitive details of their battle plans in case Dain reads her mind.
Violet leaves to reconnect with her dragons and finds out that Andarna is now twice her size. What? And her gold scales have turned into an iridescent black. The use of her powers has caused her to grow and enter her teenage stage, so she is moody. Xaden arrives soon after and promises to work hard every day to regain Violet's trust. Violet tells Xaden and their friends that they have to go back because if they don't, the marked ones, like Xaden and the other children of the rebellion left in Besgaiath, will be killed. But they need to lie about what happened with the wyverns and the Venom.
Back at Besgaiath, Tarin carries Andarna to the Vale. Xaden fabricates a story about Griffin riders attacking them and tells everyone that Colonel Atos sent them into a dangerous combat. General Sorrengail is not happy about it. They tell everyone that Liam and Soleil died fighting griffins. Dain rushes forward, eager to grab Violet, but relieved that she's alive. But Violet is pissed. She tells him that if he ever touches her again, she'll cut off his arms. I love that.
I do too. Xaden graduates and is assigned to be stationed in Samara, but promises Violet he'll see her before he leaves. There's a graduation party, and Colonel Ados introduces Vice Commandant Barish, who is there to make things stricter. Ados threatens Violet and Mira to make sure Violet stays in line. Violet struggles with Xaden leaving because, of course, she loves him, but at the same time, she feels pushed away because he can't always tell her the truth about everything. And I have a note to make about this. I think it was Sarah the Bookish Fairy, her Instagram. She was like doing the we listen but we don't judge challenge thing, but as the characters. So one of them was like her as Violet, and she was like, I'm super mad that my boyfriend, who has all of this, like all of these secrets and military clearances, isn't telling me the things I need to know because I just don't have those military clearances. And I'm like, that's so true.
Yeah, so I remember because I did a reread not too long ago, and my first time reading these books, I couldn't with the miscommunication and the secrets and everything. I was like, I don't understand how anyone likes Xaden. He is so annoying. He just needs to freaking tell her. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
And then I did a reread. And the second time around, I was like, wow, Violet is actually a lot more unreasonable than I remember her being. And I actually understand things. Am I toxic? Is it me? Am I the problem? But I agree. Like, truly, like, I need to know all this stuff. Well, why? Well, because I don't know it.
Yeah. And it's like this is,
okay.
Like, not necessarily Navarre's, like, military leadership, but Orisha's, like, he's high up in the leadership. He can't just tell her his war strategies and, like, what's going on. And she's just like, I just learned about this, and I expect all of the answers. A little unreasonable, if you ask me. But, like, I mean, I think so often in books, we just, once the girl, like, Feyre, for example, once she, I'm not going to spoil things, but in other books, once the girl like makes it to, oh, I'm in love with the leader, they just are immediately like, we share every secret. We are one. And so for this, it's a little bit more realistic of like, they're together kind of, but that does not mean you get military clearance information.
Well, and it's hard. And this is so stupid. You're going to laugh at me. My first like example of like what came to my mind as far as like a realistic example or explanation, and it also isn't realistic because it's not from real life, but this made me think of seasons, I don't remember, 11-ish, 12-ish through like 14, 15 of Grey's Anatomy when Miranda Bailey is married to Ben Warren, and they're like they have to keep everything separated, church and state. I mean, it really is like you said, Xaden is king. His dad was the leader of Eurasia. He is heir apparent. He is the like leader of Eurasia. He doesn't like romantically. It would piss me that frickety frack off not being able for him to tell me everything, and so I do get that. But he doesn't owe her any of this technically. Like technically, he doesn't have to tell her, and to keep her and everyone safe, he has to keep some things to himself. And so I see both sides, but like that is a death sentence for romance. If you cannot be so honest and like open with your partner, most of the time that's going to eat them alive, and it's just going to ruin your romantic relationship. So like it sucks because I see both sides.
I do totally agree with you. I see both sides because on one hand, I'm like, yeah, but as long as there's an understanding between the two, like if my husband was in the military, like there's things he's not going to tell me, but there's also just an understanding of like, I don't need to know that. But I guess she does need to know a lot of those things because she was also in the military. So who's to say? Not me.
But is it a need to know or want to know? And it's defining of what is the need and what is the want. Because I hear you. You're totally right. And I mean, your husband was in the military, and there were things that he couldn't tell you because of his job. It's a personality thing, I think, too.
Yeah.
And how invested are you in this? Because I think you, like, your personality, it's a lot easier for you to just be like, all right, well, you can't tell me.
Yeah.
I will not roll over quite as easy. It could be something that literally doesn't even affect me.
I will not go quietly into that good night.
It could be something that literally doesn't even affect me. But the fact that you know something that I don't know, I'm not okay with that. I need you to tell me these things. So it is
That's
just
so fair. It's a personality thing, and we'll end there.
Yep. But, well, not before we continue with Iron Flame. So, new stations and wing leaders are assigned post-graduation. Dain, freaking Dain, is the new wing leader, and Rhiannon is the new squad leader. Woo-hoo! Professor Grady teaches a secret class called Rider Survival, where they learn how to survive in the wild and handle torture. Violet sneakily asks her friend Jacinia for books on Basgiath history so that she can understand the wards in order to try and build or create a new one in Erasia.
Mm-hmm. Violet is put in charge of watching the first year cadets on conscription day, where she meets Liam's sister, Sloan, who hates Violet for being part of Liam's death. Understandable. However, she promised Liam that she would take care of Sloan. Violet also sees an old friend, Cam, who is disguising himself as Eric. He is the king's son, who is planning on keeping his true identity a secret. Only about 2/3 of the initiates make it across the parapet, the rest of them dying in the process.
Ugh. Afterwards, during the initiate ceremony, the dragons perched nearby as usual. In the past, some of the weaker students would run at the side of the dragons and get torched in response. Really, could you imagine? I mean, I'm not saying that the dragons aren't terrifying, but you just survived Parapet where 1/3 of you didn't. Like, you made it across, and now you're scared because of the dragons? Like, to die by fire after doing something like that is truly just ridiculous to me, quite honestly.
Okay,
like, I can't.
We're gonna talk a big game, but truth be told, I don't know how I'd react until I'm there. I'm like, I can't imagine. Like, you're about to be a dragon rider. That is the point of this whole division of the school, and yet you see a dragon and you run. In my mind right now, ridiculous. But
so ridiculous.
If I were there, who's to say how I'd react? I don't know.
Well, have you heard of the old fight or flight?
Yeah, I'm a freeze.
Okay. I was just about to say, there's 1/3 that no one talks about, and that's what I am too. It's also freeze. So I think that would help me, actually, this. I'd be so scared I wouldn't move, which is the benefit of not dying.
That is the benefit, and there we go.
All right. So, however, Varish's dragon, Solus, looks right at Violet and sends his flames her way. Violet throws herself over Sloan and gets burnt badly, but several other new initiates get killed in this event. Tarin steps up and threatens Solus. One of the other cadets that also got killed was one of the riders that was with them in War Games as well, one of the marked ones.
Yep. Violet starts running to stay in shape for future battles, and Imogen joins her. They learn that the Griffins at Athebyne attacked because they were looking for weapons to fight Venin. Violet starts focusing on learning more about the wards and getting distant from her friends because she has to keep the secrets of what happened in Athebyne.
The first-year students begin their ranking battles, and there is a full house watching. One of the first-year cadets asked who is Violet Sorrengail, and one of Violet's friends, Nadine, responds, "I'm Violet," as a joke. However, not funny, the first year then kills Nadine on sight by breaking her neck, thinking that she is Violet, and then Violet kills him in self-defense. Before he dies, the cadet says, quote, "Secrets die with the people who keep them," meaning Dain's father sent him to kill Violet, because that's exactly the phrase that Dain's father said to Mira and Violet towards the end of Fourth Wing. Mm-hmm. The people in Athebyne attacked are now being hunted.
Rhiannon makes a note that Nolan is looking worn down these days. Nolan is the school's healer, and suspects that Varish is torturing people and having Nolan heal them so that he can torture them all over again. Xaden pops in for a surprise visit, but there's still tension between he and Violet as she explains that she can't fully trust him. He hands her a handwritten letter explaining his past, trying to earn her trust.
Honestly, that was so cute. Like, because the letters were just so personal. It's just like telling him about his childhood and like growing up and what it was like to be, I don't know. It was just such a real
that
thing.
Resonates with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because we've talked about this before. Like, I like love fantasy. Obviously, this is not realistic, but when there's elements of realism added into it, it just makes it so much better. And this is so realistic. Just the notes, just telling him about herself. That he can't tell her some of his secrets, but he can tell her about his past. So he's opening up in the only way he is able to, and that.
Which is a valiant effort.
Sweet.
I really like that. Yeah.
And like that's one of those things the first time around reading it, I just didn't put much stock into. But then the second time around, I was like, how did I not care that much? This is so freaking sweet.
Mm-hmm.
A rider is killed after asking about a border attack that didn't happen. Justinia stops writing down Violet's book requests in order to keep her safe. Violet gets a censored letter from Mira. And Violet feels guilty about not sharing everything she knows with her friends, especially Rhiannon, but she tells herself that it's all to keep them safe. Also, too, honestly, the other irony is the fact that she is getting so mad with Xaden for not telling her things.
But she's not telling her friends.
But she's literally, she's like, I can't tell them to keep them safe. That's literally what Xaden is doing with her.
I know. Crazy. Oh, how the turntables have. Later on the field, Varys demands Violet show him Andarna, but she refuses. Andarna is supposed to be in the dreamless sleep that all the dragons go through to safely age. Varys brings up how Violet's late father wrote about feather-tailed dragons, or dragon hatchlings, and comments on how unusual it is that Violet has bonded with one. He orders her to make Andarna appear next time, or else.
The riders from the Athbine attack are still being hunted. Colonel Atos wants to get rid of anyone who knows too much. Violet goes to Samara to see Xaden, but Varys searches her bag before she leaves. However, they're in the clear because Tarin is the one hiding things in his saddle, so nothing is found.
At Samara, Violet finds Xaden fighting for his time off to be with her. They kiss, but Violet still doesn't want a serious relationship without trust. Xaden tells her that the weapons they're finding might be used to power the wards, which Orisha needs because it is still unprotected.
Back at Basgiath, Varys punishes Violet by making her use lightning over and over, nearly killing her via burnout. Tarin flies her away after the harsh lesson and dunks her in a river. Her friends then help bring her back to her room. Meanwhile, Sloan sucks at sparring. But that's just like the best way to explain it. She sucks at it.
She just sucks at sparring. It's okay.
Violet and her squad try to help Sloan, but she is still blaming Violet for Liam's death and doesn't want to accept the help. Violet is figuring out how to help Sloan on her way to class when a bag is thrown over her head. She and her squad are kidnapped for a class assignment and have to team up with other cadets to navigate a map through the woods. They drink what seems like water, but it's actually a potion that severs their connection with their dragons and disables their signets. So they essentially fail this lesson because they can't collaborate with the infantry cadets.
I don't blame them. Have you ever worked in a freaking group assignment? I don't get along with any of those people.
That's true, but I don't think I've had a hard time with it, but I don't think I've ever failed a group assignment.
Only because I held us up, not you.
Well,
you were
exactly.
Never in my group assignments, but like,
no,
one person has to be everything.
Group assignments are
Jeez, the demon
the worst.
just entered my voice saying everything. Okay. We're back. Once they're back, Violet poisons Sloan's sparring opponent, so Sloan wins. The old tactics, stay strong. And Sloan agrees to train with Imogen in exchange for Liam's letters that Violet saved. Violet goes to visit Xaden, but is escorted by Varys, and Xaden is tied up on duty the entire time they're supposed to be together. AKA, they're still being punished. Violet confides in Imogen about Xaden, and Imogen gets through to her about not fully trusting him. She explains that sometimes they all have to keep things secret because they're in a war, an actual war. Imogen also says that she wishes Violet would talk to Rhiannon again because Violet isn't good at shutting people out like Xaden is.
Honestly, I mean, Xaden's better at it than Violet, but he's not great at it either. Like, it still makes people upset. Navarre is spreading lies, claiming that dragons are destroying villages. It's clear the professors cannot be trusted. Violet continues to study the wards, but no one has ever written any information down except the first 6, the founders of Navarre's dragon riders. Varys tries to punish Violet again, but Tarin nearly kills his dragon Solus, forcing him to stop. Mira is stationed in Samara, where Xaden is. Violet worries that the dragons across the border might really be wyverns and tries to see if Mira would believe her. But Mira tells her not to worry and to get more sleep. One more of the Athbine cadets is then killed.
During sparring, Dain challenges Violet and admits that he did not know about the Athbine attack. Eric reveals that he knows what's happening in Paromial, which is why he became a rider. The second half of the RSC class takes place, and the squad learns how to resist torture. They're given the serum that clouds their bond, and they are all chained up in the same room. In comes Dain, per Varish's request. Varish insists that Dain reads Violet's mind, but Dain refuses. In response, Varish beats Violet up. After RSC, Nolan, the Mender, secretly heals Violet, and she tells him that she has important information. He leaves the door unlocked, and they are all able to escape.
I love that. Like, watching them get out.
Yeah.
Jack Barlow, the one who was thought to be dead because, a mountain fell on top of him, returns. Nolan has been secretly working to heal him for a year, and now he's alive again, which then answered the question on why Nolan looked so worn out and ragged all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Samara is attacked, and Professor Tavera signals to Violet that Xaden is hurt. Violet leaves class immediately and flies to Samara, where chaos is ensuing. Xaden and Mira are alive, and Xaden was healed by a mender. Violet and Xaden share a private moment.
Xaden takes Violet to deliver illegal weapons to the Griffins. They meet Serena and her cousin Catriona, who is Xaden's ex, and is still upset about their breakup. Andarna is still in her dreamless sleep, growing into a bigger dragon. When Violet returns, Varish is furious that she left without permission. Dragon Professor Kaori stops him from punishing her.
Violet finally tells Riddick, Sawyer, and Rhiannon about Brennan and Eratia, and they promise to help her. Justinia finds out that the journals of the first 6 are locked in a vault in the archives, but only someone from the king's family can open it. It's threshing for the first years, and afterwards, Violet is assigned guard duty on one of the watchtowers with Aya, one of the marked ones from Athbine, when they're suddenly attacked by 4 infantry cadets. None other than Jack freaking Barlow shows up and saves her life when she's almost falling off the tower. Violet and the squad plan to break into the vault to find the journals, with Eric reluctantly joining. They find the journals and escape just before the vaults lock them in.
Xaden and Violet keep one journal each. However, Violet is stopped by Nolan, who secretly gives her the serum in her favorite lemonade, clouding her connection with Tarin. Nolan finds Violet's journal and gives it to Varish, who tortures Violet for 5 days. Varish tortures, Nolan heals, and then Varish tortures her again. She hallucinates Liam's presence, which breaks her heart, but she does not give in. Dain, shocked by how terrible the torture is, reads Violet's memories. She shows him the truth about the Wyverns, the Revolution, and more. Dain gets a big ol' wake-up call and realizes this is wrong. He helps take down Varish, showing a surprising change of heart.
Finally, Xaden arrives and helps save Violet. He kills all of Varish's men, and together they kill Varish. General Sorengale, who did not know about the torture, steps in and promises to do whatever it takes to protect her children, including going to war. She reveals that she made a deal with Xaden to protect Violet during her first year and knows about their illegal weapon smuggling. The next step is to leave Besgaiath and head to Eratia, but Violet wants every student to have a choice. They give a speech, and about half of the students, including Dain, Justinia, and some teachers, choose to join the revolution, and off they fly to Eratia.
Here comes part 2 of Iron Flame. All the cadets move into the Ryerson house, and their families are told to go to Eratia for safety. Xaden and Violet meet with the assembly, and they're furious with Violet for revealing their secret. They decide to keep the cadets schooling at Ryerson house. Violet is tasked with translating Warwick's, from the first 6, his journal. Andarna wakes up, and she is now a moody teenager, which is something different. However, since she didn't finish her dreamless sleep properly, her wing is weaker and she cannot fly, meaning she will never be able to carry a rider, which I'm just going to say right here, I call BS. I think before the end of this Empyrean series, that dragon is carrying Violet.
Just all theory for now, but I agree.
All conjecture, but completely correct if you ask me.
Also, can we just talk about how because they said that them flying from Besgaiath to Eratia was the biggest riot they'd ever seen. There was like 102 dragons and riders or something.
Mm-hmm.
How big is Xaden's house that they were just able to house them all?
Same question. I literally, when I was reading that,
That's not a
kind of
house.
chuckled because it's like they fit everybody into the Ryerson house, and I'm like, okay.
And
what are they all just...
I mean, there was already people there. It's not like, oh, it was just an empty summer home. Or I mean, like, there's people living there already, and all 100 and something of these riders are beyond. That's a castle. That is not a home. That is a mansion castle. Anyways. Xaden and the rebels drop wyvern bodies at the border outpost to expose the truth, which Navarre had kept hidden from the public, though the military did know. Mira arrives in Eratia and finds out Brennan is alive, and then punches him in the face. Violet thinks she knows how to raise the wards by having the strongest riders channel their power into the wardstone. They try, but fail. Turns out she did not translate the text correctly. Violet has a training session with one of the assembly members to work on controlling her lightning attacks, which are still unpredictable. It's tough, but he gives her an orb conduit to help her control her signet.
The Tyrus used runes for magic, and now the rebellion is incorporating this into the curriculum since they never bothered teaching it before. Violet secretly decides to head to Viscount Takaris to get the luminary, even though Xaden says no. Rebellious. Rhaenyra and Brennan come with her. When they arrive, Xaden is already there. I loved this. I loved it. It was like a mad parent. It turns out
honestly,
Xaden...
slightly unrealistic that he would get there faster than them. I mean, I guess there was 3 of them, and Tarin did have to like keep a slower pace for the other dragon, for Brennan and Mira's dragons, but still, I still liked it. Love it still.
It turns out Xaden was engaged to Takaris' niece, Catriona. They were not just exes, they were hard exes. Due to an arrangement between their families. Xaden broke it off, but he spent a lot of time at Takaris' house. He even has his own room there and did not think to tell Violet about any of this.
Insane. That is asinine.
How about you add that into one of your little letters?
Yeah, truly. That has nothing to do with, well, I mean, not much to do with the rebellion as far as whatever, but I know that they had this whole thing about like, oh, we don't, like Violet and Xaden, both of them did not want to know about the other's exes.
Yeah.
And that's one thing to like just not be like, oh, also I was engaged. I mean, ridiculous, but whatever. But when your ex is now a part of the picture, like she shows up, Violet has met her.
Yeah.
We're past the point of just not wanting to say anything. Now you have to say something.
Crazy.
Takaris holds a nice dinner, and of course, Catriona is there. She has a signet that intensifies emotion, so Violet suddenly feels overwhelmed with jealousy and anger. Kat does this on purpose to make Violet feel insecure, wanting Xaden's power but not his love. Violet must prove her strength in an amphitheater by targeting a large chest, but when she does, she discovers that there is a venom hidden inside. The Sorrengail siblings fight it together, and Violet finally kills it with lightning.
Because of her success, they negotiate with Takaris for the Luminary. He wants weapons and for them to take in the Griffin Flyers, whose academy was destroyed, training them alongside the Dragon Rider cadets so that they can fight in the war together. Violet and Xaden agree, but slightly reluctantly on Violet's side, because that means, guess who's coming? Cat. The Riders and Griffins meet in Peromule to climb the cliffs to Tyrandor, since Griffins can't fly up the high cliffs. Unfortunately, once again, Cat is amongst them.
Violet makes, not as far as friends, but a nice acquaintanceship with a flyer named Marin. Tells her that at the Peromule Academy, things aren't as deadly as they are in Navarre. She asks why Navarre kills its students, and truly, aren't we all thinking that?
Yeah.
A hatchling is born in Eratia, alerting magical beings nearby that dragons are there, which changes everything. During the climb, a flyer in Violet's group dies, and Kat blames Violet. Riddick gets injured, and Brennan mends him.
The wyverns show up, likely drawn to the hatchling's birth. Violet kills them by electrocuting the clouds that they're flying in, which was so cool.
It was epic, honestly.
It plays out like a movie in my head, which again is why I'm so excited for the adaptation to screen. It's going to be so sick. Rune training begins, and the Flyers and Riders are paired into new squads. Kat's squad merges with Violet's.
Of course. Are we even a little bit surprised? No.
Only because it is a book, but in real life, I would be shocked to my bones.
Well, no, the reason that it was... sorry, the reason that it was these two squads is because Cat's squad was the strongest of the Griffin flyers, and Violet's squad was the strongest of the riders. So that's why, I mean, it makes sense why they did it. And I think in real life, they would put the strongest together too.
No, I disagree with that, only for this.
Oh, okay.
If you have two strong teams, wouldn't you want to put both of those with two weaker teams instead of creating one massive A team to be like, both of these can be B teams? I don't know. Maybe that's dumb.
I don't know, because I'm not, like, in my mind, that makes a lot of sense too. But at the same time, from like a war strategy, wouldn't you want a really awesome team? Like, I'm not a warrior.
But then I'm not in the military. The charge. You have the front line, just this solid, insanely great group, and then like the C team is behind you, and they just follow up with like,
they're not gonna be the C
mediocre.
I don't know. I don't. You're not wrong, but I don't know from like a military's perspective.
Right either. I just honestly
just need to
once
say
again,
it.
Who knows?
Just a girl.
Dain helps Violet retranslate Warwick's journal.
Because the Riders and the Flyers do not get along in the slightest, the professors give them one chance to fight it out on the sparring mat in order to stop being so petty. Kat, of course, challenges Violet and uses the fight to make Violet jealous of her and Xaden, revealing through her fighting technique that Xaden also trained her to fight. However, Kat breaks the rules and uses her power, which causes Violet to nearly kill her, and they have to be physically separated. Xaden comforts Violet afterwards, telling her that he never actually liked Kat. He also reveals that he's technically the king of Tyrrendor. Insane.
Love a surprise king. The Venom
I know we kind of talked about that earlier. Sorry. I know we kind of talked about that earlier. But this was when it was like officially revealed, and I can't handle whatever, keep going.
The secrets are abound. The Venom and Wyvern continue their advance, taking more cities that are closer to Eratia. It's very clear that they are just straight up coming for them now. Dain and Violet think that they figured out how to raise the wards, but doing so would strip the Griffin Flyers of their powers, so they back off for a second.
For a school assignment, the Riders and Flyers are tasked with finding hidden runes. Violet, Kat, Vicia, and Sloan are assigned to a team, and they track a rune to one of the caves. Sloan tells Violet that if a rider is bonded to a dragon that was also previously bonded to one of their family members, they risk either going insane or developing a second signet. Violet files this away for later. Then,
as do we.
As do we all. Honestly, I mean, I think all of us too kind of immediately thought like, oh, didn't Xaden say that Sigale was bonded to like a distant uncle or something?
Yes.
Like,
and here, okay, so remember
and
what
he's
we
clearly
talked
not
about
insane.
Early on when you're like, oh, there's so many plot holes, and it's like, there's not actually plot holes. You just need to finish reading the book. That's one of the things where I was like, so that's a plot hole. So cool. So great.
Exactly.
Nah, we just need to finish reading the book.
Then Solus shows up in the cave. He kills Vicia, and the rest of the group tries to escape. Then Andarna shows up and is just incredible. She kills Solus by herself, but now, as a dragon slayer, she's seen as a threat among dragons, though the elders agree not to punish her. Violet and Xaden still have trust issues, as usual.
The Wyvern are getting closer. They raise the wards not with the most powerful riders, but with the most powerful of each dragon type. Tarin, Violet, Sigale, and Xaden head out to fight the Wyvern. Before they face off, Violet asks Xaden if he has a second signet, and it turns out he sure does. Xaden is an intrinsic, someone who can read other people's thoughts, but Xaden can only read their intentions, which is still, to this day, a little confusing to me, because I'm like,
I think it's confusing. I think it's confusing because the whole concept of this is like, what Xaden is essentially saying is he reads vibes, and like that's not like a tangible
and don't we
thing.
all kind of do that?
Honestly, but like it's just like intentions aren't a tangible thing, so it's hard to imagine how someone. It's honestly kind of like this isn't really a spoiler. I guess it kind of is, but for the Caraval series, how Scarlet can see emotions in color.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's kind of like one of those things. It's just not a tangible something that we can relate it to. So it's hard for us to understand how he could read emotions. But I get I think of it as vibes. And when I think of it in that sense, I'm like,
that.
okay.
I like that.
I get it.
Yeah. He's a vibe
More
reader.
than vibes, but the concept is the same.
This signet is deadly. It is, but like, it's just funny he's a vibe reader. This signet is deadly. And people with it are usually killed immediately, so nobody else knows.
Except Sigale. Sigale does know, and Sigale did not want Xaden to tell Violet. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
When the wyvern attack, the wards seem to work. Those that fly through die and the venom retreat. But there's something off with the wards because the Griffin riders still have their powers. At Ryerson House, General Melgren, who can see the outcomes of battles, sends them a message. He's seen that the wyvern will attack Navarre and Navarre will lose, and he asks the revolution for help. Violet, her mother, and the others go to meet Melgren. Violet's mother gets the shocking reveal that Brennan is alive.
Violet's mom gives her the journal she was tortured for stealing from Lyra from the first 6. She tells Violet that Warwick wanted her to keep the power, but Lyra insisted it must be shared. Violet finally tells Xaden that she loves him despite his secrets. He confesses that his mother disappeared, which may come back to haunt them later, and I foresee that being an Onyx Storm situation.
100%. Violet realizes that the wyvern won't attack Navarre until the wards at Besgaeth fall. Besgaeth is where dragons hatch, so it must be protected. To protect both wards and the dragons, they'll have to go fight for Besgaeth. Brennan and some of the assembly disagree, and only a few of the riders end up going to Besgaeth while the flyers stay behind. Melgren has pulled all his military forces to the border where the wyvern will attack, leaving Besgaeth completely unprotected, except for a few students and teachers.
General Sorrengail is still at Besgaeth, and they convince her that the wards are at risk. When they check, the guards have been killed, and Jack Barlow, Homicidal Jack, is there.
Jack!
He's turned into a venin and destroyed the wards by killing Bade, his dragon. They use the serum to cut off his powers and capture him, but it is too late. The wards are down. The riders, Violet's mom, and anyone else left at Besgaeth prepare for battle. They sleep, make plans, and then the fight begins. Brennan and the Flyers finally show up to help. In the battle, they kill many wyvern and venin, but Sawyer loses a leg. Aww. And Violet saves him. Cat attacks one venin by intensifying his emotions, making him go insane. And then Andarna kills him.
Justinia figures out how to raise the wards. It turns out that there are not 6 types of dragons needed, but 7. Andarna is a special dragon whose scales are iridescent and can blend into the background like a chameleon. She was waiting for 650 years to hatch and bond with Violet. However, if they fix this ward, they won't be able to fix the one in Eratia because Andarna is the only one who can activate it. The dragons can't ignite multiple ward stones. Violet asks Xaden to choose, knowing that if they don't choose Besgaeth, they will all die. So that makes the answer pretty simple. They choose Besgaeth. Violet goes to raise the wards with the 7 dragons. Violet's mom uses Sloan as a conduit to channel her power into the ward stone, but it kills General Sorrengail in the process to protect her children. The wards are then restored. Xaden is fighting a powerful venin and is about to lose. Violet sees Xaden through the bond and commands him to live.
The battle ends. Violet goes to find Xaden. Sigale asks her to be gentle with him, and Violet is super confused. Xaden refuses to look Violet in the eye. Eventually, he turns around and reveals his red-rimmed eyes. He has pulled from the ground, and he is now a venin. The book ends with Xaden asking a captured Jack Barlow how to return to a human, and Jack reveals him, there's no cure, and welcome to the Brotherhood.
Ugh.
So, that is our Iron Flame summary.
I am so excited for this book, you guys. I don't think you all fully understand. I've taken PTO. This is my life. I've been just waiting
this is
all
your new
month.
Personality. You are Melissa Onyx Storm.
I'm legally changing my middle name. Well, actually, let me read the book first, and then I will let you know if I'm legally changing my middle name. But
that's how I became
you know what,
Ellie, House of Flame and Shadow Tackett.
Yeah, exactly. Well, but except you should have read the book first. I'm gonna change it to Melissa Empyrean Rimple.
There you go.
That's what it's going to be.
All right. So now let's get into the current list of main characters in case you weren't able to pick up what their signets were and who they are bonded to. So I will do 2 and you do 2.
Sounds good.
So we have Violet, who is bonded to Tarin and Andarna. Her signet is lightning, though I've heard people say her signet's not lightning, it's just power. It manifests its lightning. We aren't too sure. Maybe this book will clarify things. But she also is going to have a second signet due to Andarna now being a fully formed dragon. So we're going to find that out. And then there's Xaden, who is bonded to Sigale. His signet is shadows, and he is an intrinsic, but now he's also venom, so...
Well, TBD on what that's going to look like.
Things are happening here.
All right, and we also have Dain, who is bonded to Kath, and his signet is memory reading if he touches the face, which we also have learned that it is a form of intrinsic, but for whatever reason, they're letting him live.
Yeah, what the heck?
Truly. I think it's honestly, like, I can't remember if this was touched on or not, but I really just have a feeling that they're like, well, he's a puppet, so it's fine. We have Mira, who is bonded to Tiny, and her signet is extending wards and possibly even creating them. Who knows? We will see. But for sure, as of right now, she can extend the wards.
Brennan, who's bonded to Marb, his signet is Mender. And Imogen, bonded to Glain, signet is the ability to erase memories. And I think that's going to be huge for the next book.
Honestly.
I think she's going to play a way bigger part. And there is a theory. We'll get into it. I won't say it here. We'll get into it.
Yeah. Also, that's such a big signet to just like casually mention and like move on. Like
yes,
we have Riddick, who like, okay, ice wielding, cool, but like
that's exactly what I was gonna say. You have
like
people who create ice, which
fire.
is fine. This is huge.
But that's also just such a common signet. And then we're like gonna, and Imogen, who can erase memories, and Bodhi, who like, it's just like we're just kind of casually brushing it under the rug. So
we see you, Rebecca. Something's up. Something's fishy here.
You can't pull one over on us. All right. We also have Bodhi. Really quick, too. We are doing our darndest to say these dragon names correctly. I feel like everyone says them slightly differently. I listened to parts on audiobooks, so some things that the way I say it is the audiobook, the way the narrator said it. But at the end of the day, guys, these are Gaelic words. We are just girls, so if we say it differently, oh well. All right. We have Bodhi, bonded to Kerr? ? And his signet is countering other signets. And we also have Garrick, who is bonded to, we looked this up, it's pronounced Kra, I think. And his signet is unknown. And I know that this has been talked about a little bit recently, but he played, I did not just burp, by the way. It was just a weird noise that my mouth decided to make. He's not like a Xaden or a Violet main character, but he is too big of a part of this story for us to just not know what his signet is.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for more on that. And I know Fantasy Fangirls talked about it a lot. Like, I've seen a lot of people talking about it, but I just like, I can't believe that we don't know what his signet is. Like, that we all just accepted it. No one, like, whatever.
We have Rhiannon bonded to, do you say Feargy? Fear.
No, I say the audiobook narrator said Fierge or Fear.
Okay. Her signet is object summoning, and Riddick bonded to Atrum, signet is ice wielding.
And we have Sawyer, who is bonded to Sleeg. His signet is a metallurgist. What is it? Metallurgist. Yeah. And Sloan, who is bonded to Thort, and her signet is being a siphon.
Eric, aka Cam, bonded to a blue clubtail. We don't have his name yet, or her name. Signet is unknown, aka it's not manifested yet.
Yep.
And then Jack Barlow, homicidal Jack, formerly bonded to Bade, who is now deceased. Unbonded because he obviously just killed his dragon. He is Venin. We don't know what's up with him and his powers.
And lastly, we have Catriona, who is a Griffin rider bonded to Kirlair, and her signet is, well, they don't really have, they have signets, it's just not, whatever. Her power is she can heighten emotions. And then we also have the leadership. So we have General Melgren bonded to Coda, and his signet is Battle Foresight.
Yes, Professor Carr bonded to Bruin, signet is Fire Wielding. Professor Kaori bonded to, we looked this one up too, Smach, signet is Illusionist.
And Professor Devera, who is bonded to an unnamed red clubtail, and her signet is also unknown according to Empyrean
Very
Wiki.
ambiguous.
Yeah. I feel like I'm a little surprised that we also don't like know her signet. I guess it's not as shocking as Garrick, but
Yeah,
like we know all these other professor signets. Why don't we know hers?
for sure. And then I added him in just because I'm absolutely convinced he's not dead. But Varish, who's bonded to Solus, and his signet is weakness reading.
And now let's talk a little bit more about dragons. So what we know about the dragons based on their colors. We have orange dragons, and they are unpredictable. And this is what Ellie was mentioning earlier. There are many theories that orange dragons are inherently evil. And that's really interesting because Brennan and Imogen are both bonded to orange dragons. And like the theory goes even beyond that to say like everyone who's bonded to an orange dragon will be Venin or like something along the lines, and that they are also evil. That would be a huge plot twist for me. Honestly, not Brennan. Brennan has snapped and like kept enough secrets to where I wouldn't be surprised if it's Imogen. Like if she just has she's was kind of like, I wouldn't even go so far as to say anything other than just like mean in the beginning, but like nothing about her has been evil. She just was kind of mean and territorial.
She doesn't seem like she has all these secrets and like, things are happening with her and we need to figure it out. Like Brennan kind of seems that way. He just feels a little suspicious. Like he wasn't like jumping at the gun to go help those in Navarre, even though there were innocents there. He was just like, they kind of chose their situation, which screams every villain is lemons.
And sure, he eventually showed up, but it's just like, I don't know. Brennan is
hesitancy
sketchy.
For me.
He's just, there's something about him that's sketchy. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he's not evil and just kind of like has secrets. But if he turned out to be evil, he's one of those characters where I'm like, all right, I accept. But like Imogen, I can't wrap my mind around her being evil because there's not one thing that she has done that has made me think that like, oh, you're sneaky or you're slimy and evil and stuff.
In fact, she's done so many things where I'm like, you're a trustworthy, my kind of girl.
Exactly.
All right. So we have red dragons. They're loyal, hot-headed, and protective. Green dragons, intelligent, and considered to be reasonable. All you, take it home.
And then we have black dragons known to be merciless. Blue dragons known to be merciless and gigantic, and black dragons who are powerful, smart, and rare. And then we also have now the seventh, iridescent dragons, Andarnas, which we know nothing about yet.
Rainbow dragons.
I like rainbow better. Rainbow dragons. Yes, I would want to bond to a rainbow dragon.
Wouldn't we all? Well, I'd want black or rainbow. I think Gabrielle Guava on Instagram, she has a quiz where you can figure out what kind of dragon you would end up being bonded to based on your personality.
Ooh, I need to take that.
I know. Okay, here's the most fun part of the entire episode. The top theories we've seen floating around. So kind of on the note, though, of Andarna being a rainbow dragon, I didn't write this one down, but thoughts that she and her kind just alone are able to kill Venin, and they are going to end up being like the cure for I don't know whether it be their eggs or whatever. We have more episodes on that we'll mention in the beginning. Because Father Sorengale was like all big into the eggs of the dragons because
I know. I'm just laughing. It's the way that that sounds, like, I don't know, their cure. Maybe it's their eggs. I don't know. I'm just laughing at how it sounded, not what you were saying.
We'll drop the episodes where we go more into that at the end of the episode. But for right now, our top theories, Violet's second signet is a type of amplifier where she can enhance other people's signets, their powers. I'm personally voting for that one. I think that's the move. But there's also Violet's second signet is a truth sayer because she's constantly needing the truth from Xaden, needing the truth from Mira, from Brennan, from everyone.
Yeah. I'm just so nervous, honestly, for whatever her signet's going to be and I actually saw this interview or read it somewhere. This isn't one of those like he said, she said kind of things. But Rebecca Yarros made a comment of how like she thinks the fandom's going to be disappointed with Violet's second signet.
I know. And so I'm calling BS. I hope it's not. I'm calling BS.
That's so true. It could totally be misleading, and that's probably what it is. But like, how funny would it be if we've spent almost like over a year, not quite a year and a half, but a while, theorizing on all these like crazy possibilities and watch it be fire wielding or like ice.
Oh, yes.
All right. And then we also have the theory, and this is one of my favorites, that Andarna's family isn't actually dead, but that they are somewhere else, most likely on one of the isles that have been mentioned that we have not yet gone to. But based on some material that Rebecca Yarros has already released, we know that she's going there in this book at least. So I'm very excited for that. And there's also the theory that Xaden's mother is on the Isles with Andarna's family. Also a big fan of that. So
me too. Okay, we're gonna jump back into this. I know I said I wasn't gonna say it. Now I'm saying it. Imogen being evil. I know we just talked about there's no way, but there is a theory out there, so we're going to address it. She could have been using her signet on Violet for the past couple books, which was, again, insane. Memory erasing. Yeah.
That would be... Oh, you know what, though? Honestly, I guess that would make so much sense. Why we just sat here and gave a whole monologue about how we're like, she hasn't done anything evil, but if she's been erasing the memories...
She's been erasing the evil parts.
She's been erasing the evil. Oh, my word. Ooh, I love this, actually. I hate it, but I know, love me too.
It. Chills. Ooh. Love it. Okay. Nailin, that one is fully sponsored by the L.A.M.E Book Club pod. We want to see that happen. Nailin will be revealed as the Venin Sage, and Brennan is under his control via the rune on Brennan's hand. Brennan will end up betraying everyone with this little tidbit of information.
Full send on this one for me too. Just how we were talking about, there's just something about him that's like sketchy, and I think it's this, honestly.
Love it.
There is a theory that Tarin will be killed. He has often said that Violet will be his last rider, and that has been taken to believe foreshadowing. And I also just want to call out that if this does, I actually do think this is going to happen, but I don't think it's going to be in this book. I think it's going to happen at the end of book 4. And book 5 will be, because then she'll still have Andarna, and book 5 will be when Andarna is able to like finally like fly with her, and it's gonna take a while for Sigale and everyone to get over the loss of Tarin, but Violet won't die because she's also bonded to Andarna, and that's gonna be the loophole for how she's able to live with her dragon still dying.
Yeah.
Anyways, all that to say, I do think it's a theory, but I just don't think it's gonna happen in book 3. There's also a theory that Xaden is going to leave Violet like Edward Cullen left Bella because he's scared of his power. And that honestly doesn't even feel like a theory. That feels like canon. Like, obviously that's going to happen in this. I really think that they're going to be apart for most of this book, but that opens the door for us to potentially get Xaden's POV chapters more than just bonus chapters. And I think I would die of happiness getting Xaden's POV throughout this book, even though they might potentially will be separated.
I'm just gonna shoot straight. I don't want this. I don't want there, like, obviously nobody likes the miscommunication unless you do. I don't like the miscommunication trope, and I just feel like that opens up more room for miscommunication. But then also just the fact that they're apart, I'm not gonna like that, and that it's so predictable that he's just gonna have this internal like, I'm gonna destroy everything. I just want it to be as unpredictable as possible. That's where I'm going with that.
I see what you just said, and I'll raise you that there actually eliminates the miscommunication trope if they're not together. They're not communicating. So there isn't going to be any miscommunication.
Yeah, but won't there be some assumption where he's like, I can't be with you, and she's going to be like, because you don't love me, and he's going to be like, not because of that, and then they're just going to be like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Potentially. I think Violet's smarter than that, but at the same time, she's done some pretty stupid things when it comes to their relationship. I don't know. I hear what you're saying. I think that Rebecca will write it differently so that it's not annoying. So. But I really do think that they are going to be up, if not like broken up, separated physically for a majority of this book.
Yeah. Okay. Next theory, Lilith Sorrengail, Mama Sorrengail, was turned Venin at one point when pregnant with Violet, which is why Violet has silver hair ends, and somehow, some way, she was given a cure, perhaps by Daddy Sorrengail.
I don't think that. I personally don't buy into this one. It is a theory, so it warrants being mentioned, but I don't think, because I'm like,
we don't subscribe. I don't subscribe because by the LBCP.
Not sponsored by at least Melissa. But like, okay, if this is the case, then she knows what the cure is. Why are they not doing this to stop Venin? Like, they know about the leadership knows about Venin. Why aren't they doing anything about it if she knows what the cure is? I don't know.
Yeah, there could be a lot of explanations
and
in that, and that could be the whole reveal.
Yeah, I'm sure Rebecca could like explain that away easily, but I can't. I just can't
justify it.
I can't think of a reason that she could possibly come up with that would make me be like, oh, that makes sense, and not make me upset. That like this is so like could have easily been figured out. But
yep.
I'm just a girl.
Violet dated Halden, who is Eric's older brother, one of the king's sons, in the past. We know he's in the infantry, and she's made comments about dating infantry before. We think we, as the Lame Book Club Pod, think that we meet him in this next book, and she possibly has to either pretend to be with him again to gain his trust, or something else.
Something along those lines. Yeah, like...
Yeah.
Just I don't know how everyone feels about fake dating trope, but I don't know if I think the whole fake dating trope will be in it, or if she just has to pretend to be like cool with decisions he's made in order to like. But I do think that there's going to be
jealous, and that's going to be spicy.
See, and again, and they're going to be separated. So I guess there will maybe be a little bit of miscommunication because they're not together. So he's just going to be seeing it from the outside looking in. There's your assumption. He might be assuming all these things, even though he knows her, but he can see intention, so he would know that Violet's intention isn't to.
He can read the vibes. Yeah,
I don't. I'm thinking out loud here, everyone. You get to in real time hear how my ADHD brain processes. But all that to say, this is the theory that has been mentioned, and I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. I think it could be really, really cool, or it could piss me off if it adds in a lot of the elements of like jealousy and miscommunication that are just like cheesy and not good. But anyways, last theory is that Andarna is going to mate with another dragon, thus bonding Violet to another rider, and that would potentially cause problems with her relationship with Xaden too. And that one
is going
this is a fun
to be
one.
Outrageous.
Honestly,
that would be six bonds in her mind. Okay, hold on.
We have Xaden
and Sigale, Tarin
and
and
Darna.
Darna.
Sigale.
And then whoever Andarna's mate is, and their rider.
You're right. Oh my goodness. So messy. Could you imagine because like she's explained how she pictures all this in her mind. I know. Could you imagine if they were all trying to talk to her at once too? I think people would think I was psychotic and I'd be committed.
Yeah, that would be so rough. I love that.
To go a little bit deeper into this theory though too, it's also been theorized that not only will Andarna mate with another dragon, but that Andarna will mate with Eric's dragon.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And I guess kind of like piggybacking off of the Halden theory and this one, it's been theorized, or I've read somewhere that they think that Violet dated Halden, but Eric has always had a crush on her. And so, but never said anything or never did anything because she was with the brother.
The love triangle of a century.
Not just a love triangle of a century, bonded riders and mates love triangle. Because like, you can't escape it. It doesn't matter how it ends. You're so still for bonded.
This is so sponsored. I love it. Oh my gosh, I love it. This plus Imogen's theory would make the creme de la Edgar of a book for me.
Creme de la Edgar.
Okay. And on that note, if you want more theories and more Empyrean talk than this incredibly long episode, we do have two other episodes that we've previously released. One is Dragon Secrets that will transform Onyx Storm. That released November 26th of 2024. And the other is Venin Vibes, Extra Chapters and Cures that released September 30th, 2024. So if you're dying to just hear more theories, get deeper into this, we do have those out there. And without, once again, further ado, we have one more little bonus segment for you now.
Hi, everyone. So something we want to start doing on our episodes is introduce indie books to all of you listeners to let you know what's out there, what you can connect with, if there's something new that you want to look into. So check out this short interview following. Okay, so we're here with Bree Wild, and she is going to intro her book, Between Smoke and Shadow. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and about your book?
Absolutely. So my name is Bree Wild. I am a debut romantasy author, and I am so excited for people to finally be able to read my book. I don't have the physical books yet, so I've got just this. Hopefully you can see that okay.
Yeah.
It's an adult romantasy that features forbidden love. It's got all the good kind of sneaking around, can't get caught. Some of the other things it includes are the prince. There's a prince and a servant kind of dynamic, the power dynamic, and then mortal and magic person. It was so much fun to write. The very basic premise is we've got the heir to a magic kingdom falls in love with a mortal servant who he has no business paying any attention to. And unbeknownst to him, she is part of the rebellion that is planning to take down his family's empire. So it's got a lot of my favorite tropes like that. Forbidden love, touch her and die, all that.
Yes.
Yes, love it.
Love that.
Stuff.
Awesome.
But it also, I also played around with some different things that I haven't seen as much in some of these romantasy books. One of the really big things for me was I wanted a female protagonist who was not, I think we see a lot the female protagonist who's like malnourished and never done anything in her life.
Yes.
And beat up like 5 guys barehanded, and it's like, that's awesome. And I actually love those characters, but I'm also like, I wanted to write a character who is in this rough situation and look at it like, okay, realistically, what would that be like? How could she get out of a bad situation without, using brute strength, I guess. So
yeah. I love that.
I loved that. Like, okay, how would someone actually do that? So it was very fun to learn.
How cool. What a neat perspective. Okay, so if you could give us one quote from your book to push readers to check everything out, what would it be?
Okay, I have it written down because my memory is not my best strong suit.
Perfect.
So, okay, so this is from the perspective of Rune, who is a servant. Because someday things will be different. Everyone in this room will see me. They will learn my name, memorize my face. They will come to fear this little shadow because someday it will take everything from them.
Ooh, I got chills. I love it. I can't wait to read this. Okay, so where can our listeners find your book?
Okay, so the best place is probably Amazon. It's available in paperback and ebook, and if you have Kindle Unlimited, it is also available through there.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Bree.
Yes, you were so welcome. Thank you for having me.
And that's all we have for you guys today. Thank you so much for joining. We hope that you are just as excited as we are for Onyx Storm. Go get your copies, go read your Kindle pre-orders, and we will see you next week.